the whole idea that we've created a pay-for-play model in college athletics have created some issues in being able to actually have a program and a system create some kind of a balance in terms of competitive balance, which all venues have some guidelines and rules that create some kind of competitive balance, which right now we don't have in college athletics. It's whoever wants to pay the most money, raise the most money, buy the most players is going to have the best opportunity to win. I don't think that's the spirit of college athletics. I don't think it's ever been the spirit of what we want college athletics to be. So that's my major concern.
Nick Saban, fresh off quitting the University of Alabama, gave his reasons for the move in the form of appearing concerned for the state of college sports. Side note, whenever Ted Cruz uses you, it's a losing effort.
All the things that I believed in for all these years, 50 years of coaching, no longer exist in college athletics. So it's always was about developing players. It was always about helping people be more successful in life. The combination of pay for play, free agency, and how that impacts development. And I can attest that I've had 2 NFL coaches tell me, and this is a football deal because they're concerned about the football part, that the players come to them less developed, with more entitlements and less resiliency to overcome adversity. And these are concerns that they have even in their football development. Well, if that's true in their football development, is that true in other parts of their development? We've created an environment that really does not promote personal development or that is going to create success for their future.
Mike Tomlin would have an interesting rebuttal on the Pivot podcast.
What'd you just say, Coach?
I love coaches that resist the responsibility of coaches, that talk negatively about a dude that can't learn and blah, blah. Man, if everybody could learn, we need less coaches.
Yeah, that's real.
Right? If the group didn't need management, then we wouldn't make as much.
Yep.
I love reading draft evals and somebody's talking about anything other than pedigree, talking about how poor somebody's hand usage is. Well, that's coaching. Right. I don't run away from coaching. I run to coaching.
Love it.
It all is in line with that not seeking comfort, because when you're a coach that's talking about somebody can't learn, you're seeking comfort because your teaching is struggling.
You just retired from an amazingly and historically significant coaching career. How much did the current chaos and state of the law contribute to your decision to retire now?
My wife even said to me, we'd have all the recruits over on Sunday with their parents for breakfast, and she would always meet with the mothers and talk about how she was going to help and impact their sons and how they would be well taken care of. And she came to me, like right before I retired and said, why are we doing this? And I said, what do you mean? She said, all they care about is how much you're going to pay them. They don't care about how you're going to develop them, which is all what we've always done. So why are we doing this? So, to me, that was sort of a red alert that we really are creating a circumstance here that is not beneficial to the development of young people, which is why I always did what I did. And that's the reason that I always like college athletics more than the NFL, is because you had the opportunity to develop young people.
Let's be clear. Nick Saban retired because the competition leveled. Bud Elliott at 247 Sports and CBS Sports would rebuke Saban's comments with this tweet. Did this conversation take place at Nick Saban's new $20 million house that he got after leaving the Miami Dolphins because Alabama backed up the Brinks truck to get him to leave? Or at one of his Mercedes dealerships?
As I said before, name, image, and likeness is a great opportunity for them to create a brand for themselves. I'm not against that at all. But to come up with some kind of a system that still can help the development of young people, I think, is paramount to the future of college athletics.
On his "this is all paid for play," it's hogwash. From AZ Sports' Zach Reagan, pay for play, of course, was a thing long before NIL was even a concept. Recruits have been receiving illegal under-the-table payments for decades, and while many of those deals are nothing more than hearsay, it's nearly impossible for anyone that's been associated with college football in the last 40 years to keep a straight face while denying that those payments happen on the regular in the pre-NIL era.
It's fantastic that players get to make money now, but every single coach in every single revenue sport, if you're paying attention, is saying the same thing. This is the only thing that any recruit is asking about now when they come on visits. And I don't believe that it's pearl clutching to wonder if maybe that's not ideal. Maybe something about the school and your development there as a human being ought to count as part of your process and your line of thinking, because overwhelmingly these athletes are going to have to find a job which isn't football when they leave. Sure, get your money, but there's more to it. At least they're supposed to be, right?
This was Scott Van Pelt on SportsCenter giving his take. The fact remains, from former football players and media alike, this is how it has always been. Saban just got out when it became too difficult. From Adam Gorney of Rivals.com, Saban loved having all the control running his program the way he wanted it done, and now because that setup has changed, retirement seemed more appealing. Good for him. But don't hold it against others trying to chase success and how they want to define it either, or where they seek it. Saban started his head coaching career at Toledo. If this was all about personal development and preparing people for life after football, why didn't he stay? Toledo was a tough blue-collar town. Lots of kids need help. But he then moved on to Michigan State, and then Louisiana State University, and then the NFL's Miami Dolphins, and then the Alabama Crimson Tide. That's a whole lot of moving for one coach who derided players who transfer, some multiple times, in the pursuit of what they think is best for their future. He did it, I guess, but they can't. I don't think that's the spirit of college athletics, and I don't think that's the spirit of what we want college athletics to be, Saban would say on Capitol Hill. Is the spirit of college athletics 30-plus head coaches bouncing around this offseason? New Alabama coach Kalen DeBoer was hardly off the plane from the national championship game at Washington before he accepted the Alabama job following Nick Saban's retirement. A man who made boatloads of money in a system where under-the-table sweetheart deals were paramount is pissy that it's evolved. From John, the irony that Nick Saban, a guy who constantly told his players to not quit on the field when things got hard because he was benefiting financially from their physical sacrifices, well, he left college football the second it got too hard for him because he couldn't get full fealty from his players anymore. And now he's whining in congressional committees about it while he sits next to Cancun Ted Cruz, who has a history of dipping out on stuff when it gets too hard for him too. What a couple of clowns, these two. So listen to me. There are other models that I have seen, that I have heard. I'm open to it. I am open to hearing how someone would restructure NIL. What I'm not up for is saying, oh, there's no balance in competition. Oh, all the players want is money. How did y'all land those players? How did you land them? Could be off championship pedigree. Not going to argue against it. What I will say is, when I attended Indiana University, when friends of mine attended major D1 schools, name them. All of these players, football, basketball, let's not say all, many were driving the most ridiculous cars. Ridiculous cars. And we all knew, like, yeah, obviously that's how you got them. But now that the players get a say, the paradigm has shifted, and the old, cranky, predominantly white men are just crying and moaning about how the players get a piece. What this leads me to, and I'm not picking on Nick Saban, it is this mindset that needs to be eroded, which is, wait a minute, we used to get away with a lot more. And now that the players get a say for their labor, and we don't have the incentive anymore to get them at a heavy discount and exploit predominantly black bodies for profit and championships and banners, I'm out. That's what it is. Let's not be gullible here when we're looking at freaking Ted Cruz and Marsha Blackburn and Joe Manchin. Look at the people Tom Tillis. Look at the people that are in this hearing. You know where they align. You know what they're about. And they are using Nick Saban's grievances to go after kids making a buck. It is not that they are asking what they can make if they go to your school, which, by the way, they should. It is the fact that in the pre-NIL era, it was about players giving up all of their leverage for pennies on the dollar to go under the table. That's what it was. They're just making up for lost time. If there are any stories we missed, if there are any that you would like to submit, get at me and follow me on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. DMs are open. And please, if you can, support the network. Go to tyt.com/join.